Welcome to the second annual MIT Sustainability Connect event. It's very exciting. It feels like every year, now this second year, we're even a more integrated community than just a year ago. So I want to begin though by thanking Steve, by taking the day to join us, and thank my team, Steve and Susie and Derek right here, and Rebecca, who's out and back, and Sarah, who put a lot of time into this prior to her final day, which was on Friday. And this group has worked so tirelessly to pull today's program together with us. She's heading to the Office of Sustainability at Cornell in a couple of weeks, so which was so fabulous for her. We'll miss her. So I want to, before I get started, I'm supposed to do a couple of logistics with you. A brief, quick walk through the day. As you'll notice, there are a couple of agendas on the table, so feel free to refer to those. For those of you like Steve who are more electronically oriented, you can actually look at this on the guidebook, and Steve has offered to provide any technical details if you have trouble, is that correct, downloading or accessing the agenda online. But for the time being, we have a very packed and exciting morning with a focus on, of course, as you all know already, climate resilient, campus resiliency, Climate and Living Lab for the morning. And for those of you who are joining us, hopefully for the afternoon, we have a workshop that we haven't done before, but Larry Susskind will be, and his team will be running right after lunch. So the timing, though, I just want to note in terms of the role that all of you play, is the timing of today's event really reflects the feedback that we received from last year, I think. And I think as a result, we have 125 people who've actually agreed to join us and have, I was going to say enrolled, but who have signed up to join us for the day. So we hope that you'll stay the whole day, but we understand if some of you have to peel off for the workshop. And my last logistics is also, we have handheld mics today, as opposed to all of the speakers and panelists being mic'd up. So for those of you who are both speaking and for those of you who are asking questions, we're recording everything. And also for the shape of the room, please remember to hold the mics up. Have I gotten everything? Is that good? Okay, great. Well, let me get started then. So I want to begin actually where we left off at last year's Sustainability Connect event. And last year was our first chance to really introduce the direction that we were providing and the foundational questions we were asking as an office with all of you. And the challenge that we've posed to MIT as a community was twofold. One was actually to our office, but with input from all of you, is how can we build a next-gen platform for campus sustainability at MIT? Again, we were starting at a time where there were many lessons to be learned from our peers and colleagues, both locally, regionally, and around the world. And it's really provided us an opportunity to figure out, well, what can we do at MIT, which has the flair and the culture of MIT, but can really contribute to the field. So as a result, the next question was, how can MIT be a game-changing force for campus sustainability in the 21st century? And it's hard to pause. We I think, all move at such a pace, and our agendas are so full. It's actually oftentimes hard to pause and remind ourselves that these were the questions that we hope continue to feed our thinking as we go on. So this is a moment in time that we hope we can reintroduce on an annual basis, to take today to think about those more far-reaching questions, because we know what's going to happen when you go back this afternoon and tomorrow is there's going to be more and more deadlines, and we start to lose sight of these broader questions that we can ask both individually and as a community. I would argue, from my observation in the couple of years, is that we're so well positioned to excel in what we have now dubbed a next-gen approach to campus sustainability, given the collaborative fabric of our implementers, our researchers, our entrepreneurs, our inventors, and community partners. And throughout the day, you will hear about the progress that we have made on a number of fronts and the relevancy of these questions as we seek transformative solutions to the challenges posed by a changing climate, to our desire to slow the process down and prepare us for what's to come. The next piece I want to weave into today is that this year has been also quite a formative year in terms of this century celebration. And to be honest, it didn't hit me until I wasn't part of the preparation. So it wasn't until this started to unfold where I really saw it as an opportunity and time to think through, this is remarkable that we've been in Cambridge for 100 years. And one of the more poignant, I think this has been one of the more poignant events that's happened this year, which is this 100-year celebration. And for our office, it's given a pause to really think back and better understand how did the members of the MIT community make decisions and consider how their buildings were built and energy was provided and distributed. The same questions that many of us are looking at today. How people moved to, from, and around the campus. How food was procured and served, how goods were procured, used, and disposed of, how we choose to steward the health of the Charles River. I mean, these are just examples of the same decisions that we're seeking to understand, study, and learn from and transform today. So this is, to me, our moment in time when 100 years from now doesn't actually seem so far off in terms of us thinking through what our impacts are going to be. Now, I realize how difficult it is to plan for 100 years, so we're uniquely positioned to think through and articulate the future that we desire in this time span. And it's our duty to understand the decisions that shape the past now and now inform new directions where necessary. Anyway, it's been intriguing, and just a side note was, even the museum approached me recently and said, you know, we have great artifacts for how buildings were built, but with all of the issues that we're dealing with today, we actually don't have a lot of understanding, looking back 100 years, on how they were thinking about food. And so they were saying, well, thinking forward, what are some of the artifacts and moments in time where we would say, here's a transformative moment in time when we started making decisions based on these new underlying principles or information or data. So that's a challenge I share with all of you if you have ideas along the way. It's a fascinating construct to think through. So a year later, here's another component that we're really excited for. So for those of you who haven't seen this, a key milestone for us was the formalization of our office framework. And this was really created by actually input from many of you and my staff and I. And we officially launched the framework to really consider the role of the individual, the campus, the city, and the globe. And it really solidified our commitment to transform MIT into a powerful model that generates new and proven ways of responding to the unprecedented challenges of a changing planet via our operational excellence, education, research, and innovation on our campus. So when we're, as an office, taking moments in time to reflect and pause and think through the work we're doing, we constantly are running it through these various spheres of influence and impact and thinking. So I encourage all of you to return to this as well. And also within the year, a lot has happened. In October, MIT published the plan for climate action, setting MIT on a leadership path that leverages our research on campus, our industry partnerships, and all of you. And out of this report emerged MIT's first public greenhouse gas goal to reduce our emissions by 32% below 2014 levels by 2030. But that was further amended by saying with a desire to achieve carbon neutrality as soon as possible. So stay tuned on that front. We'll be discussing MIT's commitment and challenge in greater detail. I believe it's during the second morning panel. So stay tuned for that. And within a month of the release of the Climate Action Plan, the recommendations that many of you influenced and created were released. And these were published with the desire to both advance the climate commitment and to set foundational and ambitious strategies for sustainable design and construction, materials management, stormwater and land management, and green labs. So that was a busy year for all of us. And I want to end by just giving you a sense of what's on the horizon, and then I'm going to pass it on to Tony here. So on the horizon, both emerging from these recommendations and then adding a couple, is our commitment to stormwater and land management with the emergence of a plan. I'm looking for Laura and Todd in the audience. There they are. So Laura and Todd will be driving that effort. We're particularly excited. So we seek to provide ecological services within an urban environment. The emergence of our sustainability data hub that many of you are working on. Derek from our office is taking the lead on that with Olu's team and IS&T. It's a partnership, and we seek to make informed decisions and recommendations about the future of sustainability on the MIT campus and surrounding community that requires the availability of meaningful data and measured outcomes from a wide variety of sources. Transportation, we've got Larry and Robin and many members of the Transportation Policy Committee that are with us today, and we seek to establish innovative commuting benefits that enable MIT commuters to make a choice on a daily basis as to how they intend to move to, from, and around campus. We'll be also responding and following up on the recommendations, the Sustainability Working Group recommendations with respect to materials management, and we seek to better understand and influence the type, quality, and quantity of the commodities that we procure. We've got our greenhouse gas reduction. Our work is cut out for that, and we're completely organized on that front for the time being in terms of understanding the reductions and processes required. You'll be hearing more about climate vulnerability assessment today, again on the horizon, but the foundation's been laid. And then the new one that we're introducing is food, and we're working with Naomi Carton and her crew, some of which will be here today, through student services to support, better understand what our own food map is, and to seek to support a resilient and healthy food system in New England and beyond. And the last piece is a living lab, which will be a whole panel on that today, which will really, again, continue to set the groundwork as to what is our vision for a living lab and how do we engage with it. Okay, I'm being cut off for now, but I'll have more to say throughout the whole day. So I'm going to pass this on to Tony Sharon. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. How many of you attended the events on Saturday morning, afternoon, evening? Great. A special thanks to you guys, because if you still have the energy after that day, after that evening to come here, well, I'm greatly appreciative of your resilience to make it through the weekend and then make it here. So I thought, since one of the topics up here, Julie introduced the concept of campus as a living lab, and also MIT's response to climate change, to kind of reframe the 5 elements that were in the plan that most affects my office, basically reducing emissions, eliminating the use of fuel oil, enacting carbon pricing, deploy an open data platform, and activating the campus as a living lab. I kind of think of those as reframing the first 2 as sort of the operating space that we have to make our reductions in emissions. And I call that the utility chain, so that runs everything from generation, which is not only what we do in our plant, but also the energy that we purchase from the outside, the distribution system, and then demand management, which I think is probably the toughest one because it's individual systems and it's also changing the minds and hearts of the folks that live and work in those systems. So the second 2 elements, shadow pricing and open data, I look at as the means of being able to get to those goals. It helps us shed the light of data on 2 big problems. One is the technical problem so that we can identify solutions. And second is, for lack of a better word, the economic impacts of our technical and personal choices. So what does it take to change human behavior? We can build systems, we can design them, but if they're not operated the way we put them forward, or they don't generate new ideas to improve our performance, we're not going to make the progress that we need to going forward. So I think combining those first 4, the utility chain and the open data, will activate the 5th element of that plan, the campus as a living laboratory. So that we need a continuous learning process through the whole cycle, so that we can improve our performance, but also share the lessons learned, both the successes, and I won't say failures, I'll say non-successes, because they'll lead into new ideas going forward. And that I'll also say that will let us share those lessons with the wider academic and research university community on many fronts, not just reducing greenhouse gas, but resilience, health, food, and stormwater, everything that Julie talked about. So I'd like to close by just saying, as we're doing all this, we get down into the details pretty fast. But it might be useful to step back and kind of maybe reread the comments that Raphael prefaced when he released the report about some guiding ideas, and I'm paraphrasing, I think you won't mind, on how they apply to what we're doing here. The first that he noted was the confidence in the scientific discovery process. You know, think, experiment, measure, analyze, learn, apply, repeat. You've heard me say these words before. Question all the past processes, because new ideas and processes are just not welcome. They're absolutely necessary to what we're doing. He mentioned that this is a complex global problem, an MIT class problem, and talked about we're going to need industry participation, but I think for many of us in this room, it's also a problem of scale. So we have to apply these ideas across from the design of major capital projects to lab renovations, building and system renewal, commissioning, operations and maintenance across that front. Everyone in this room and throughout the entire infrastructure organization has a role to play in this. He also says that technology alone cannot solve this problem. And that's where I think it comes to the data analysis and being able to share the tools like a life cycle cost analysis where we put shadow pricing in there. We look at metering and measuring and make those data available to all the participants, including faculty and students, because I think that's where the creative ideas are going to flow. And then engineers and the efficiency experts, I'm staring at a few of them in the room, are vital to the process, but everybody has to participate from the business end to the maintenance operators and so on. And then finally, to make progress, we're going to need to move on all fronts. So I know you guys have a packed schedule, and Julie always puts together a great conference, not only in the presentations, but also the crosstalk that goes along. So I wish you a productive day, and I'm looking forward to the output. Thank you.